them for who they really are. So just like I said at the beginning of this, the movie about They Live with Roddy Piper, when you put on the shades, guess what that does? That exposes what's really going on.
It does. It definitely does. Frank, what about you? What you think?
Shit, I don't even know how you can top that because I mean, that's 100% real. I mean, listen, everything that you said is absolutely accurate, and so when we look at how the media influences us going forward, and how basically we look at it from two different levels. One, how do we view ourselves behind this? Two, how do others view us? And I think we've gotten to a point now where we can't put a lot of energy into how others feel about us. You know, we have to concentrate on building ourselves up. We have to concentrate on building our communities, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to, because I think we've spent so long trying to prove that we're worthy and trying to prove, hey, we belong and everything else. And it really hasn't done you much good. You know, and now we have to make sure that we're focusing on building us, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to, making sure, honestly, that we're safe, because we live in times now where, you know, you never know. I mean, it's hard to say what is a more dangerous time now or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Now, certainly we're not going through what our parents and our grandparents went through, but at the same time, you have to wonder, are things starting to get worse? Have we lost so much of what we gained during the civil rights movement and even the immediate period after that things are starting to get worse? And because 45 is exposed to everybody for what they are and who they are and what they believe, are we starting to go downhill at this point? So I think it's something that we've got to think about.
Well, with that being said, too, we're facing a problem, especially when it comes to the media's influence, because with 45 in office now, one thing I will give him credit about is he's taken a single social media platform and just highlighted it just by his, policies or statements he says. He's doing it all through social media, basically. And with media now being as big of an influence to culture, society, and people as a whole, how can we reverse that? We talked about earlier, and I thought it was going to be a happy show and nostalgic about shows and things that influenced us, but we kind of took those things, like Black Eye said, with the different world. It made people want to get up and go to college and do these different things, and Cosby Show made you want to have a two-household income with successful parents and families. Now that we have media that's so real and it's just highlighting what's going on, how do we reverse that? What do we need to put into media now to change the direction that we're going through as a society?
That's a great question, man. I don't know if you can change media. I think they just an avalanche that just can't be stopped.
So does that mean we're doomed to a life of love and hip hop?
That ain't going nowhere.
I mean, the way that the world is set up right now. I mean, as far as reality shows and as far as media. I mean, if you really want to hear the truth when it comes to media, listen to your overseas media. That's where you're going to hear the truth. Because just like I referred to, They Live. Here in America, they're going to give us what they feel like we need to hear.
Yeah.
Whereas in other countries, they're going to tell you what you need to hear. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That option we don't have. I mean, that option they
don't have. And the reason why I say that, because my cousin, he played, overseas ball. And I remember him telling me a story where he was in Germany. Pure example. He was in Germany, and I think Bush was in office. And he literally had an argument with
Junior, Senior.
A young lady, huh?
Bush Junior.
Bush Junior. He literally had an argument with a lady where the lady thought that we all voted for him. That's the reason why. That's the perception they have, that this particular president that we have in office, I'm not saying the guy that we have now, but back then, they think over there that we all voted for that guy. But they don't realize that, no, we all didn't do that. And he literally got into an argument because he was like, no, we don't do that. And she was like, no, that's bullshit. Y'all did. Y'all all did that. They have this perception where they think, that's the perception, that's the problem. And if you really want to hear real news, You need to hear overseas news. Because here in the States, don't get me wrong, this is where I'm from. I love America. But at the same time, I got to be real about it. We get bullshit. Just look, pure example. Why is it that during the election time, we got all these videos of police officers brutalizing us? And then when the election was over with, it died down. Now, November's coming back up for the Senate. We're starting to get these videos again. But why is it always us? Because trust me, they be busting some white people asses too.
Yeah.
But they don't show that. They dictate what the fuck they want to show. So with them showing police brutality against black folks, that keeps the narrative that they got going on happening to where it keeps dividing the races. It doesn't make any sense. Why is it that we always, the people need to realize, why is it that we only see us in these videos and not other races? You need to think about that.
That's by design.
Exactly. And people need to realize that, yeah, you might share it on Facebook, you might share it on Instagram, Twitter, oh my God, look what they're doing to us. But at the same time, you need to really put in the thought like, why are they doing this? Why are they showing this?
And see, not only that, and then we look at what's going on with police brutality, and we look at what Kaepernick is fighting for from the very beginning. You look at how the message got bastardized in the first place. People forget that the whole concept of kneeling was actually brought to Kaepernick by a military veteran. But look at what happened to the narrative at that point. It became, oh, well, we're disrespecting the flag, we're disrespecting the anthem, we're disrespecting the troops. That's not what this shit was about.
No.
Everybody knows that. You know, we talked about this on a previous show, and I said one of the things that I wish the NFL players had done from the very beginning is when they came out for the anthem, if they had carried out a picture of victims of police brutality right at the very beginning, that might have cut a lot of that bullshit out right at the very beginning. But we'll never know because now the whole issue's been hijacked. You've got 45 and all of these people who support him saying, oh, it's an affront to troops. And I got into an argument with a guy one time, and I said, when you're sitting at home and you're watching the game on TV and the anthem comes on, do you stand? Hell no, you sitting up there drunk just like my ass is. So what does that mean?
Exactly.
So, I mean, do you care about the troops at that point? The people who are at the stadium and they're getting the beers or they're getting something to eat, you know, the anthem comes on. Are you standing? Are you stopping stopping what you're doing to actually stand up? No, you're not. These folks who wear flags, people who do all this disrespectful stuff to the flag, you're not really worried about that. I'm going to tell you something else that pisses me off, too. A lot of these people who are always talking about support the troops, you know, stand for the flag and kneel for the cross and all of that shit, none of those motherfuckers have ever served a day in the military. Not one day. They've never made a rack. They've never run PT ever. But you're the main one standing there talking about, well, you've got to respect the flag. At what point do you say, well, I respect this country enough to respect all citizens? At what point do you decide, okay, what's going on is not right? Because people recognize it. You don't. This is 2018. You don't have to explain racism to white folks. They know exactly what the fuck it is, and they know when they see it, but you're not speaking up against it. You're more worried about disrespecting something that really has nothing to do with this whole debate. So when we talk about how the media influences things, that's the number one thing, and that's why I've been so upset about what's happened with Cap and a lot of these other players who've supported what's going on and really trying to speak out against police brutality. That message isn't even out there anymore. And now we're having to basically backpedal and say we support the troops, and we have to do all of this stuff to show that, hey, we love the country, we support the troops and everything else. But at the end of the day, the message about police brutality gets lost. And that's really where we're going. And that's what we're seeing when we talk about the influence of TV and media. Because the message gets lost, the focus gets lost. And guess what? We're fighting for crimes, and we're fighting with other people for crimes. And guess what? The issue's still going on. People still getting shot. Police shoot white people more than they shoot black folks. But, you know, like you were saying, you never see that. It's only us. That's a narrative. And that's done on purpose.
So do y'all think at this point with, you know, the generation we have, I won't say that's immediately after us because they've already developed and started to form their world opinions, but for generations after them, is it safe to say that maybe we should start turning the TV off and, you know, going more towards reading papers or things like that? Because for some reason, and I read an article a couple of weeks ago. It seems that more of the truth is found when you actually read it in papers versus when you view it on news. Why that phenomenon's happened, I'm not sure. But is that a platform, or should it something that we should consider in the future so that we can teach our younger generations to start, forming opinions on their own merit without unbiasedness?
I don't know. Do you think it may be too late? Do you think we're in an era where technology is king and they don't know how to go backwards? That they are it's their necessity now? Like, has technology been put in our system, in our minds so much that we need it? Because I understand what you're saying. Because like they always say, reading is fundamental. It really is. And when you read, but are you disciplined enough to read, or do you want it now? Because we're really living in a world of instant.
Right.
We want it now.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if they can't get it now, they might not take the time to even do that.
I don't think we'll be able to go back. And the reason I say that is 100 years ago, the primary form of communication for news and things like that, newspapers and radio. How many people listen to the radio for news these days? How many people listen to the radio, period?
Oh, man, I don't listen to the radio.
Exactly.
Man, what's the point? Man, I got CDs.
Look, I ain't even gonna lie. I haven't listened to Power 94, but off and on, man, for a few times. That's it.
That was in the 90s, man. I was on the radio then, but, I remember the times when, hey, you used to throw a shout-out to somebody. Say, hey, man, can you give a shout-out to so-and-so? Man, I love her.
Man.
And I just want her in my life.
You talking about them choir stores?
Yeah, the choir stores, shout-out. Man, just go out to so-and-so. I had somebody do me like that one time. I said, damn, this is real shit right here.
Yeah. You remember, man, that time, man, who running, man? Southside running, man.
Man, Southside, Northside, Eastside, man, Woodlands, shit, Galen Heights,
Man.
East Lake.
Do they even do
Man,
that
what?
shit?
Alton Park, AP.
Man.
They didn't even say Alton Park. They must say AP.
Man, I remember one time this dude got on there talking about, man, Hickson running.
Oh, you talking about Highway 58?
Yeah.
I don't think Hickson ran
No,
with
not
track.
Highway 58. I don't know what Hickson was, but
Man,
I guess.
It threw dude off so bad.
Hickson,
he had to recover. He was like, what?
you ain't even Chattanooga. No, what you talking about? You might as well just say Red Bank running.
Damn.
Okay. God dang, but yeah. And piggybacking off what you were saying about, the whole Kaepernick deal and the military and how about the dude was, told him, he said, I'd rather for you to kneel than sit. I would respect that more.
Yeah.
And that lets you know the ignorance of folks. No matter who did it, it's all about who gives out the message. You know what I'm saying? It could have been somebody else and they probably been cool with it, but since it was Kaepernick, it's like, no, we ain't digging that. You know what I'm saying? And the thing I hate about, I'm gonna tell you something, and people probably gonna hate this, and if an NFL player listens to this, I just want to let whoever these NFL players are that did what they did, y'all ain't shit. And I'm gonna tell you why you ain't shit. Because y'all sit here and y'all talk about how this is my brother. I fight for my brother. I go to war for my brother. But then when your brother take a knee for something that he believes in, guess what the fuck you do? You don't take that knee except for Eric Reed and maybe a couple of other motherfuckers. But then it takes for that guy to call you son of a bitches for all y'all asses to kneel. And guess what? You kneeling for the wrong fucking reason. You ain't even kneeling for what it was supposed to be about in the first place. You kneeling because that orange ass motherfucker in office said y'all some son of a bitches and y'all need to be fired. So y'all kneel. And that's when I said, y'all some pussy ass motherfuckers. Y'all ain't shit. Because you didn't even kneel for your brother. You didn't even have your brother's back. You waited for somebody to tell you that you ain't shit for you to kneel. So when y'all kneel, that was fake shit to me. That was not real shit. And for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys,
Fuck y'all.
you can kiss my ass too. And I'm going to tell you why. And for anybody that is a Cowboys fan,